Hello, anybody, and thanks for tuning into Monday Morning Handicapping. This is another video of a look at a 2025 Kentucky Derby prospect, and this horse name is River Thames. I Googled how to pronounce the horse's name, and this is how the race caller says it, so it's River Thames. Caught me a little off guard, but anyways, that's how I'm going to pronounce it throughout this video. River Thames' sire or father was a horse named McLean's Music. River Thames' mother or dam was a horse named Proportionality. The dam's sire, so the father of this horse's mother, was a horse named Discreet Cat. And River Thames is trained by Todd Pletcher, and the jockey is John Velasquez. Before I continue, I just want to acknowledge a correction from a previous video and my number 4 video on East Avenue 2025 Kentucky Derby Prospect. I appreciate a YouTube commenter pointing this error out, but during the pedigree portion of that video, I said that East Avenue's dam or mother was a horse named Cappuccino Bay, but that horse is actually the mother of East Avenue's father. So it still holds a little bit of breeding information, but this dam, Cappuccino Bay, is the dam of Medaglia d'Oro. So a little bit of a mix up there. Dance Music is actually the dam or mother of East Avenue. Dance Music was unraced and was kept for breeding by the owner Godolphin. However, I did get the damn sire correct, Ghost Zapper. So Ghost Zapper is the actual father of East Avenue's actual mother, but East Avenue's mother is not Cappuccino Bay. Again, that's Medaglia d'Oro's mother. So I got my tabs mixed up. I apologize, but I appreciate the user commenting and letting me know. So thank you for that. So let's get back to River Thames. Take a look at the pedigree of River Thames. And yes, I checked. I got these ones correct. But the sire, a horse named McLean's Music, had one career start, won that race, earned $32,000 doing so. It was its only start, and it won wire to wire, sprinting 6 furlongs on the dirt in a final time of 1 minute 7 seconds, .44. Earned a 114 Beyer speed figure, which was the highest ever figure in a debut. McLean's Music has sired 67 stakes horses in his breeding career and has produced 5 Grade 1 winners, including Jackie's Warrior, who was the 2021 champion male sprinter. McLean's Music also holds a stud fee of $40,000. The dam of River Thames, Proportionality, raced 22 times, 3 wins, 2 seconds, and a third, earning $123,000 in her career. 3 wins were sprinting on the dirt near the front, all at the claiming level ranks. So this horse had some speed, but never quite fit in at the graded stakes level. Stayed in claiming races for the most part. That's where all her wins were. River Thames is the first runner for this dam. So off to a great start, River Thames is. The dam sire, Discreet Cat, so the father of proportionality. 9 career starts, 6 wins, 2/3, $1.7 million in career earnings. 3 wins sprinting, 3 wins routing, so a little bit of versatility there. 1 Grade 1 win, 2 Grade 2 wins. All of these wins were routes. A front running type, so some speed. Discreet Cat has produced 6 Grade 1 winners in his breeding career and had a 7th place finish in his only mile-and-a-quarter try in the 2007 Dubai World Cup. So shipped really far away, tried a mile-and-a-quarter, ran 7th. Question marks surrounding the Kentucky Derby distance as far as breeding goes. Connection for River Thames, trained by Todd Pletcher, career win rate of 22% from 26,000 starts. At the graded stakes level, which is what the Kentucky Derby is at, grade 1 level, 18% winners from 4,300 starts. Todd Pletcher has 2 Kentucky Derby wins, one in 2010, one in 2017, so somewhat recently. Pletcher won an Eclipse Award for Outstanding Trainer 8 different times. He was inducted into the Racing Hall of Fame in 2021, 4th in earnings and 10th in wins in 2024 for trainers. The jockey, John Velasquez, career win rate 18% from 37,000 starts. Graded stakes, 18% winner from 3,700 starts. Kentucky Derby, this jockey has 3 wins, 2011, 2017, and 2020. Won an Eclipse Award for Outstanding Jockey 2 different times, inducted into the Racing Hall of Fame in 2012, and was 8th in earnings and 75th in wins last year. So some good connections for this horse. As of now, February 9th, 2025, when I looked up all this information, River Thames was 50-1 odds to win the 2025 Kentucky Derby, according to HorseRacingNation.com. This horse currently has 0 Kentucky Derby points, but did just win impressively routing at Gulfstream Park in an allowance race. In his career, he's raced 2 times, won both times, has earned $85,000 in career earnings. So with no Kentucky Derby points and 50-1 odds to win, why River Thames? River Thames was purchased for $200,000, so they think something of this horse. A little interesting stat I got from a podcast, and I can't remember which one it was, but Todd Pletcher has had at least one Derby runner every year since 2004. So the trainer for this horse just loves to have an entrant in the Derby and has done so in the past 20, this would be 21 years. Pletcher has 8 horses on the futures betting. All are above 40 to 1 at this time. So history would indicate he's going to get at least one horse in the Kentucky Derby, and the odds are high for all of his runners at this point in time. So if we can pick out which one looks to be doing the best, improving the most, and going to be aiming for the Kentucky Derby, at this point you're getting at least 40 to 1 on one of Todd Pletcher's horses. If you can pick out the one that is most likely to hit that Derby trail, which is coming up soon. Also, on a podcast I was listening today, from the February 6th episode of the Ron Flatter Racing Pod, they did a mock Kentucky Derby draft where they all picked horses to win the Kentucky Derby. I think there's 4 or 5 people playing, and they took turns. And Caitlin Free, who I forget which broadcast she works for, but she does a lot of handicapping and analysis. She got the first overall pick, and her overall pick, first overall, was River Thames, which really caught me off guard a little bit. But Caitlin Free, if you like her picks, you think she's a sharp handicapper, this horse was her number one. She could take any horse to win the Kentucky Derby, and she picked River Thames as of February 6th. So I think that bodes well, just to hear that. So we'll look at River Thames 2 races. We'll take some notes of the race, watch the replay, and then talk about some of the other finishers in that race. So this horse's debut race was January 11th, 2025 at Gulfstream Park. It was a 6 furlong or 6/8 of a mile race on the fast dirt track at Gulfstream Park. Wins easily on debut by 4 3/4 lengths at odds of 5 to 2. Breaks clean from post position 6 of 9. There were 2 scratches. Urged a little bit early by the jockey to stalk the top 2 runners by about 2 lengths back. Stayed in about the 3 path, so outside of those 2 front runners, so wasn't really getting any kickback. He was to the outside of the top 2 horses. Makes his move around the turn, has a short lead by the time they hit the stretch. In the stretch, this horse runs straight and professionally throughout. Wasn't throwing its head around at all. Just got the job done and did it impressively. So let's take a look at the race, and then we'll look at some of the other runners from that race. So our horse is the number 8, but because of the 2 scratches, he's the 6th post out. You can see the 2 and 4 horses are not in this race. And our horse is out here with the all-white jockey silks. You can see his arms are pumping. Getting the horse just to either pick up his speed or maintain, stay up near the pack. Here's our horse, well out wide. Much wider than the 3 path that I mentioned earlier, but outside of these 2 other runners, that's where I got the impression the horse was in the 3 path. But as you can see, stalking these top 2 front runners, this 6 is the betting favorite. You can see 4 to 5 down here. And the horse, the jockey's asking him to pick it up, and then he kind of quiets back down. So the horse is doing this relatively easily, just moving up alongside this 4 to 5 favorite. Here they come entering the stretch, and River Thames just takes over right here. I don't think the jockey even goes to the whip in the stretch. The horse is just doing this pretty much all just with the arm urging of the jockey. He's showing the horse the whip, but he's actually does not look like he's making contact with the horse. And the horse just pulls away to win pretty impressively. Very professional. Stayed straight. You could see it stayed in about that 3 path all the way through the stretch. Wasn't throwing its head around. Galloping out nicely. No one else is catching up. And looked good on debut. So taking a look at the others in this race, the 2nd place finisher, who was that favorite, that was that horse's debut race. It obviously ran 2nd, was favored in that race. That horse was purchased for $1.1 million. Remember, River Thames was purchased for $200,000. The horse he beat was purchased for $1.1 million and is trained by Brad Cox, who is a leading trainer in the country pretty much every year. 3rd place finisher had 4 starts, a 2nd and a 3rd. 4th place finisher, that was a debut start, a $400,000 purchase, also trained by the same trainer as River Thames, Todd Pletcher. So same trainer, the horse was purchased for $400K, whereas our horse was purchased for $200K, and the $200,000 horse is just going much better, or at least that race, than this $400,000 horse, trained by the same person. 5th place finisher, 2 starts, 1 second, came back to run 2nd in a similar race, so this race was this 5th place finisher's debut race, came back later in a maiden special weight and ran 2nd. Most recent race, allowance optional claimer, February 1st, 2025 at Gulfstream Park. 1 mile on a fast dirt track at Gulfstream Park. It's a 1-turn mile, and the horse is jumping up in class, but a step below the graded stakes level. River Thames wins easily by 6.5 lengths at odds of 3 to 5, was the betting favorite. Breaks clean from post number 1 of 8. Rode the 2 path all the way around, so again, just ran straight throughout the whole race, very professional. Stalks another horse from the inside, so River Thames is on the inside of the leader by about 3/4 of a length. Punches through the hole on demand, and I have hole in quotes because he's not running between two horses, but he's got a horse immediately to his outside and the fence on his inside. And some young horses maybe can shy away from running through tight spaces, but this horse just really powers through, as you'll see in the replay. Takes over halfway around the turn, responds well to the whip and the stretch. This time the jockey does use the whip, and when the horse feels it, just seems to perk up a little and keep his mind on his business, and again wins the race by 6.5 lengths in the end, very impressively. So let's watch that replay now. So our horse on the inside, jockey in the all white. Breaks pretty clean, pretty straight. Jockey looked like he's trying to guide him down toward the rail just a smidge, but he's not running into any traffic, so the jockey's just happy to let him stay off the rail. And this is where the 7 horse to the outside of our horse is kind of pretty close, kind of gives it a tight window between this horse and the fence, and this is the hole that I'm talking about the horse punches through. Our horse just happy to stalk behind this one. As you can see, it's getting a little tight between the 2 horses here. Almost looks like he's coming in on the one a little bit. Nice overhead view. I really like those drone shots of the race. But this is where our horse really punches through this hole between the fence and that horse. There he goes. You can see him accelerating. The jockey on the 7 didn't look desperate, so the jockey on the 7 probably thinks his horse is traveling well. But our horse, the 1, just under a hand ride, getting out in front of the 7, staying out in front. And this is where the jockey's going to try the whip for the first time in a race, and it looks like our horse just kind of perks up a little. Just leaving the 7 in the dust. Here comes the whip, tap, swish of the tail, separating himself. Another tap of the whip, swish of the tail, staying straight, not veering, not shying away from the whip. Wins easily. No one else is closing the distance at the end of the race, so our horse arguably wasn't getting tired. Won easy in the end. Fractions really solid, really quick. Again, wins the gallop out. No horses are passing him on the gallop out. So 2 races, 2 wins, and a little bit of adversity in that race. Just it was a question whether or not it was going to punch through that hole, and as you can see, did soundly, did it well, and looked good doing it. So some of the others in that race, the second place finisher had 2 career starts, a win and a second, one on debut, came into this race and ran second, so that horse might be decent. Third place finisher had 4 starts, 1 win, 1 second, 2 thirds, 1 on debut, and has never run out of the money since, either first, second, or third. So maybe a decent horse there as well. Fourth place finisher is run 3 times, 1 win, no seconds or thirds, 1 on debut, and was 4th in ungraded stakes race sprinting. Fifth place finisher had raced 10 times, 2 wins, 4 seconds, no thirds, was 5th place to Rated by Merit, who I've done a Kentucky Derby video on, but I believe since that video, Rated by Merit is now off the Derby trail. I think he had a minor setback. I forget exactly what it was, but Rated by Merit was on the futures board, was coming into his own, was racing really well in these Florida-sired ungraded stakes races at Gulfstream. But either way, this 5th place finisher was running 5th place to Rated by Merit, who was looking to be a pretty sharp horse before a setback. So somewhat of a decent horse here, maybe not greatest stakes level, but a competitor nonetheless. So some positive and negatives, just some overall takeaways from River Thames. Some positives: beat a $1.1 million horse on debut. Both were making their debut, and this horse beat that horse pretty easily. All dam sires graded stakes wins were routing, so on the dam side, it looks like distance is in the blood. Both sire and dam sire have produced grade 1 winners, so that bodes well for the pedigree aspect for River Thames. Has inherited speed, which is going to be useful to avoid traffic in the Kentucky Derby. Again, that's a 20-horse field. If you're a horse that likes to be out near the front, you can avoid a lot of traffic and a lot of trouble during the race by being in front of 12, 13, 15 other horses in the race, only having to pass 3 or 4 as the race goes on. Can stalk and pounce, doesn't need the lead, as you saw in that second race, kind of sat off the leader. Well, actually, as you saw in both races, can sit off some leaders, and when the jockey asks him to go, really shows that late kick to pass those horses late. The Kentucky Derby at this point might be shaping up to have lots of speed, and this horse might be able to get the first run at the leaders. So, like we saw in the first race, might be able to sit in about fourth place, fifth place early on in the Kentucky Derby. Just stalk those leaders, wait till they get a little bit tired, wait till that far turn, and then get the first run at him, meaning this horse will be up to take the lead before some of the deeper closers will be up to take the lead. And if this horse doesn't tire out, could keep on going. That's a question of breeding mostly and how this horse progresses between now and the Kentucky Derby. But this horse might be close up enough to get that first crack at those leaders around the far turn. This jockey and trainer combination have won the Kentucky Derby together in 2017. That's a Hall of Fame jockey and trainer combining together. This horse is currently 50 to 1 and proving and winning well. Some of the negatives: a limited routing pedigree. Sire had only one race, which was a sprint at 6 furlongs, and the Dam and Dam sire never won going a mile and a quarter, so some questions there. This horse is getting a late start to its career. Its debut was in January of 2025, and obviously the Kentucky Derby's early May of 2025. So, 4 or 5 months to get into race ready for the Kentucky Derby is a tall order, but Todd Pletcher has had late starting Derby runners before. It's not unheard of for him, but just a late start to the career, you're working with a lot of unknowns at this point. So 50 to 1 is probably a fair price at this point. This horse also hasn't raced outside of Gulfstream Park, and that can kind of be a unique track and plays differently than some tracks out of the state. So, curious to see how this horse does at another track, see if he can ship and win. Has yet to face graded stakes horses, so it's going to need to take a drastic step up in class soon. And it needs to get some of those Derby points, so it's definitely going to have to face some graded stakes company probably in his next start. And not sure how this horse would respond to kickback. This horse hasn't really had dirt kicked in its face yet. That may be the case in the Kentucky Derby, depending on the post position and how the pace shapes up. But you got to imagine your horse is going to face some adversity, even if it's just kickback. And this horse has yet to have dirt kicked in his face. So would like to see how the horse would respond to such events. But that's pretty much it for River Thames. Thanks for watching. I appreciate the feedback. Again, that little correction, I really appreciate that. I hate to get it wrong, but I thought I would acknowledge to everybody. But I just wanted to be upfront and transparent with everyone. But anyways, I'd appreciate a like, a subscribe, or you sharing with friends. Really trying to get some new racing fans in the world. For anyone that you think might be interested in horse racing, I have a couple of playlists. One of them is How to Read a Racing Form, where I break down the components of the racing form into small chunks, talk about what it's telling you, what you can glean from it, and really just simplify the racing form. And I also have a betting on horse racing for interested newcomers. I break down each individual bet, talk about what they are, how to place them, the terminology you should use, and some things I look for when I'm placing the bets personally. Just a little bit of advice, but anyways, thanks again for watching. Good luck to River Thames. This one is interesting to me. Curious to see how he does in his next start, but would like to see him ship out of Gulfstream, but we'll see. Yeah, thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you all next time.